to the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, where we attempt to apply logic and reason to religion and politics. I'm here with my wonderful, beautiful co-host, this ice cream cone, and Christy Santiago.
I've been called a tall glass of water, but never an ice cream cone, which ice cream is my favorite food group, in case any of you guys have ever wondered. It will always be my favorite food group. It is its own food group, and I probably could live on it if it would sustain me. It is my favorite.
If it's not a food group, it's at least just the leader of the sugar food group.
I love ice cream, and real ice cream, like milk fat ice cream, not the skim milk, the ice milk, which is what most ice creams, like store brand, is going to be ice milk. Not that we're talking about ice milk on our subject tonight, but real ice cream. Breyers is real ice cream. Ben & Jerry's is real ice cream. You can taste like the fat. I don't know how to, it's just delicious. It really is. Okay. Hi guys, happy Friday. 116 weeks, by the way. I'm getting a haircut for my birthday, and I'm so scared. I want it to just be all silver, but that's way short. So we'll see how that goes.
How much are you taking off?
And that's the thing. I can't have short hair. That's never gonna fly. So that much?
How much?
Yeah, like 2 inches. I cut off like 9 in the front this last time. That was a lot.
Oh.
I'm not doing that again. I mean, it was cute for a few days, and then I was like, oh man, I have no hair. Immediately.
Yeah, I remember that you were like, eek.
Yeah. I was like, wow, that's a little too rambunctious there, wanting it to just happen. It doesn't. You have to wait it out. So I have had, like I said before, to you and here to the league, I've had, people DM me on Instagram and say that I've been following, your progress, and I just like it. You showed me once a week, and I can do that. I'm going to do that. And it's a really awesome feeling. Like that, to take something that became a chore. It wasn't fun anymore for me every 20 days. It became a chore, and no, I don't do it anymore. It's pretty awesome. So we actually have a really, really hot topic for the first topic tonight, the Texas abortion ban. Everybody's talking about it. How can you not? I want to say, though, as I watched the headlines come across when the DOJ announced that they were preparing a lawsuit against Texas, I mean, I stood straight up with my phone. Yes! You can't not do that. You go to Planned Parenthood and look at information on Planned Parenthood. The Rocky Mountain area tells reporters that 80% of women are coming from Texas in these 3 states, Colorado, Nevada, and New Mexico. And those 3 states, Colorado, Nevada, and New Mexico, they say that of all of their out-of-state patients that they care for, 80% is coming from Texas. So that's the significant, and this has happened since COVID, you guys. This is not like something that's new. They locked it all down, and then they wanted to just keep it. Oh, and it's not even a law. They use the new words. Use your words. They use the word scheme while describing this, and it is a scheme. I normally prepare something for you guys that, I sit down and I've gone over. I know how long it takes to read it, and I just can't. With this one, I just can't. We're talking about the party of no big government. It's my personal right to wear a mask or not wear a mask. It's my bodily autonomy. But now your uterus, that's the government. Yeah. What? The actual fudge cake. Or ice cream, fudge ice cream.
It's actually caramel, but
I'm just like drooling over here. And you just make it look so good. So silly. Okay, I actually did need that little giggle. Okay, so
welcome. That's what I'm here for.
That is what you're here for. I agree. I want to say that Titus, the comedian, I sent it to you today. It's really funny. If you guys get a chance to watch Titus on YouTube, the comedian. He has his own podcast, and he went live for a few minutes just to say a few things, and it was brilliant. It was funny. Of course, he's a comedian, but I mean, just one after another, knocking these dumbass ideas down. There are no exceptions to this scheme. None.
Yeah.
None. So there's doctors that can't even, they're trying to explain on the news, you know, they've cared for women who have been abused by their uncle, by their dad, by a family friend. It's not like some stranger walking around the road. Yes, that does happen. But it's not like, you know, that stupid guy was like, we'll get rapists off the streets. Dude, that's not exactly how it works. It's almost always someone close to the child that has been grooming them or something like that. And if it's not a kid, if it's someone older, it's still someone close. It's almost always someone that they know. So that's not how that works. And it's just very ignorant. It's 2021. We survived the Bay of Pigs, the missile crisis. We are finally getting out of a war. What? Really? Really? Guys?
And just to build on to what you're saying, and I'm pointing out the obvious, but it bears like pointing out that having babies has been a point of control over women for a very long time because of just the
well, rape is power. That's what that is. It feels rape. The action of rape is about taking the power away from somebody.
Someone saying no and someone saying
like.
yes, and one not mattering is a power trip. But the point that I was trying to make is that in this economy and financially, let alone all the millennia before how this works, like when a woman has a child, they need support to raise it, right? So the more children you make her have, the more submissive she's going to have to be to said male to make sure that she gets support and she doesn't drown. And abortion, whether you like it or not, has to be on the table for women's rights, for their right to live their own life without shackles. And some people don't like when lefties will say, or baby eating atheists refer to unborn babies or fetuses or whatever as parasites. But I mean, technically, exactly, that is what they are, and they stay that way until, I don't know, college is over.
Yeah.
I mean, a bit. That is facetious, I will say right offhand, because around the time that they're born and like they can like chill a little bit, like there is symbiosis there, right? It's not just a straight parasite.
Right.
I don't want to be facetious.
No, they're very wanted and loved. Yeah. It's just silly.
Yeah, it's important.
It's a play on words, though, because yes, they depend on you. You are responsible for their well-being in every way.
Yes. So now
it's a lot.
Think about a woman who either doesn't want, or not necessarily doesn't even want, but can't mentally handle having a child, right? Because that's not good for the baby.
It's not good for the mother.
Who was it, Freud, that like kind of showed like what happens when you don't care for a child, as opposed to the twin who does get care.
Yes. God.
And also,
I'm glad that's not legal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not good for the woman.
Childbirth, women die. Humans with uteruses that give birth die.
And babies die that are unwanted.
It's a very traumatic experience, I can tell you. from
Yeah.
personal experience.
We don't live in a perfect world where you can just be like, look, just have the baby and you will love it as you should. Well, not everything's dictated by God. God's not going to put the love in their heart just because they had a baby. It's like, no, they can't handle it, and they die, and then they go to jail. And it could have just
They die and then they go to jail.
the babies die
Like,
and the moms go to jail.
gotcha. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
but you cannot. I mean, depends on what you know. Jail, I don't know, whatever. It needs to be on the table. The one of the only 2 or 3 things that I like that Hillary Rodham Clinton said is that abortion should be
Legal and safe,
rare, and legal, right?
Yeah,
I think they should be safe, rare, like they ought to be safe and rare and legal.
I agree.
That doesn't always mean that they are, but we should try to make sure that when there is a justification for them to happen, that they are available.
Yeah.
And the government can't control your body, right?
I mean, imagine being a person that is not planning on any of that. And it doesn't matter. Let's take out of the equation how it happened, whether it was abusive or consensual. Let's just take that out. You're a human who this is not what you're planning. Even if you're on birth control, it's only 99 point something %. There is a chance that you can still get pregnant. It's biology. We're so far past this. It's so aggravating to me. Like, I don't want to go back and learn the alphabet. I got it. I want to learn a different one. Like, let's move on. And it's just really sad. I imagine putting myself into a caregiver's, in their experience, in their day-to-day, and they're dealing with women who are traumatized, or this is just a decision that they made. Most women who are getting the actual abortion are married with kids already. And as a couple, as a family, they decide, not right now. We have 3. We're good. Let's, that's a decision that they should be able to make as a person in 2021 in the United States of America. God, and then it's a scheme. They're offering people money to turn people in, 10,000 at least, to get a conviction. There are people who will just do that for money. Like, come on, we all know this. They're all types. I'm a humanist, and I still believe that they have the rights, obviously. I don't think that is good, or you're a good person if you do stuff like that. I think that's really fucking awful, actually. But let's be real also. Let's use our brain. That's going to happen. There are people who will be like, ooh, I'll take that 10, and all I have to do is. So it's just, the whole thing is just, I was just fuming. Like, what am I going to write? No. Like, if you guys have a chance, the Women's March is in October. You can be a part of that. So you can donate to that. You can just sign up so you get emails and you can be aware. You have women in your life. You didn't get here with just your father. You got here by a woman. You and I talk about things that are so beyond this. Like, this is basic healthcare for a human with a uterus. He, they, she, them, it doesn't matter. A human with a uterus, this is their basic human right to have bodily autonomy. It's just, that's how I feel about it. And offering them money, turning it into this game, it's like replaying things that I learned in history to learn about Roe v. Wade when we were in high school. That's what it feels like. Like, oh, this is the stuff we watched them going through. It's just ridiculous. So we never ever, like, I'm totally done with that. And we never ever ever, I feel like, have something that's heartwarming And Mr. Bean is gonna bark. Heartwarming. Magic happened. Yeah, if you have any last words to say on that, I would just say them now because I just
actually it might just be a segue.
okay.
Staying on this, but just creating dialogue on it. The one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because I keep thinking of actually Jimmy Snow, because when like he's a very fierce advocate for like Roe v. Wade and women's rights, especially when it comes to this, right?
Yes.
But he's also a staunch advocate for blue no matter who.
Yeah,
right?
no, not.
This is one of those things where I thought it was important to bring up that
We're just way past that bullshit. Like what you're about to from your mouth. Yeah, it's like all the nuance.
You and I are, but
right. Yes,
most people aren't, right?
Jimmy is as well in a lot of aspects, but I understand. I have family that are very neoliberal. That's what it is. I mean, that's what it is.
Well, you're reading my mind, and that's not fair because not everyone who might watch this is. So I will say it. So it is out there that yes, it was used in the 2016 election that look, we could lose Roe v. Wade if we don't all vote for Hillary Clinton, right? It's blue no matter who because there's too much at stake and they could take.
I remember.
Because the Supreme Court is on the line, and they were right. That's a valid argument, but that's also why all Democrats should have fought harder on who the candidate ends up being.
Agree.
And paid more attention. That's why you need to pay attention on the off season, because everyone who does pay attention on the off season doesn't want to fall in line when all of a sudden you want to pay attention to politics, and you're like, why don't you guys even care about this country? Oh, no, we've cared the last 3 years. You're just trying to play the fucking Trump high card.
Right. No, that is a lot of people. There were people that were in their 50s and 60s that never voted in their life, voted for Trump. Just all of a sudden got excited about politics. Doesn't know a thing about policy or care about policy.
Yeah. And it's sad, but like something else that bears to be said with that is that Trump was right. Obama did not appoint a ton of judges, well, like state judges, right? All across.
I would have to check.
All across the U.S. There were so many that positions that he could have appointed filled. And
I know he did a lot of judges, but maybe you're right. Maybe it was just federal, not state.
Maybe. And Trump did an extraordinary amount of appointments.
Oh yeah, he stacked. Yeah, they're good and pumped.
Yeah, but Obama could have done it, but instead he didn't, and then they used it as a, hey, look, this didn't get done.
Doing the Tonight Show and being cool. Come on.
Yeah. So we got to make sure that we all vote for Hillary so she can do what I didn't do, because that's what Democrats do. We only do half the job and say, hey, if you want the rest, keep us on. Right? And it's bullshit. That's why we shouldn't vote for the Democrats. That's why we should, I think, risk everything and risk this shit happening so we get real change that actually stays, and we get real anti-war candidates. And we get real candidates who actually care about the people and who fight for Medicare for all, whether they're on the left or right, because that's just a basic human right.
I agree.
You need to hit these other topics that everyone's too afraid to like.
Why do you think that is? In 2020, we're talking about abortion bans. Why are we here?
Because that's easy. That's easy for both sides. It's really controversial. And
yes, it separates the entire population.
Yeah, and it's easy to do that, and it's easy to stay focused on.
That's why
it's not easy to stay focused on healthcare
Right. Those are
and
important.
war and moneyed interest.
And COVID. I mean, even though that's included in healthcare, it is kind of on its own. You know, it is, or over 1,000 Americans are still dying every day, every single day. That's insanity to not care.
Do you know what else is insanity? We're all over this. We're all over these protests, which either side, that's good. If you have something that you want done in politics, you should protest. You should protest, and you should keep up on what's happening, and you should vote. Whether I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. If you are active, that is good. And the other thing, now let me check. Nabisco. And yeah, it looks like they are still on strike. Nabisco's still on strike.
Yes, I'm loving the labor movement. I'm loving and I'm paying attention and I'm watching them closely, and they are actually, it's beautiful. We had like 4% of our population in unions in 2016. 4%. It was like nothing. That is bananas. If you look at any European or any modern country, it's just, that's insane.
Yeah. So here's
the bar.
Here's my point.
Lower the bar. You keep lowering the bar.
Yeah. Here's my point to bringing this up, though. This abortion ban court ruling that just happened a week ago, and they're all over the protests. And the Nabisco strike has been going on for a month. Most people I talk to don't know about it. And the top 10 results here on Google are Street Roots reported on it, Chicago Sun-Times, and those are the last 2 days. And Business Insider did something 6 days ago. Willamette Week did something a week ago. Yahoo Finance did something over a week ago. MSNBC News did something.
It's not clickbaity, you know.
Yeah, Washington Post 2 weeks ago, The Guardian 2 weeks ago, and the Today Show 3 weeks ago. It's really easy to
major. It's a major movement is going on everywhere. Yeah,
it's not covered, and this has been going on for 1 month exactly today. It's just
can we just have another Eugene Debs?
Oh my goodness!
And not put him in jail. Yeah.
Not.
No.
So that's the stuff that I wanted to bring up.
Okay. Well, heartwarming. We do heartwarming. I love heartwarming. It does have, this next story does have, I mean, some heartbreaking parts, or it wouldn't be heartwarming. That's kind of, you have to have the bad to get the good. And so tiny homes, everybody's heard of them. They've kind of been like a hipster thing to do, to, you know, it's smart, simplify your life, be debt free, live in a tinier space. It makes sense. And I mean, raising two girls, that was not like something, an option. But I really love, God, there's so many communities that have been doing stuff where it's straight from homeless to tiny home that has a bed, a TV, computer, a shower, community, washing and drying your clothes. So everything, you have a door that can be shut and locked instead of sleeping rough on the street. They have tiny home villages and communities for veterans only, and they have them for families. And I noticed that a lot of places you can't have a tiny home. So I also looked into that, and it's all to do with zoning. I did look up what's the best idea to do if you wanted to put yourself or somebody that you know, help them get into a tiny home, is your local city hall. When are they having the zoning committees. Everybody's welcome. All the community can go, and you go with your idea of, and they have to listen to everybody with their ideas. That's why the meeting's there, and they're free to the community. And this is how you actually get involved and be a part of the things you want to see change. Is just showing up, just being there, listening, and going, oh wow, that's happening here. I want to say this. And tiny homes, because everything in this country and most countries is done by, you got to fit in this, it has to fit into here. Every human has to have so much square feet. It has to have this, there's codes, there's zones. It has to fit. And a tiny home doesn't. Some are 167 square feet. I mean, they're small. However, they have everything that one human could possibly need if they were rough living. And just having a door, I promise you, just having a door you can shut and lock at night means that you can actually fall asleep. That comfort is so important. And so I thought, as a humanist, the story is actually major. It's really, really big. Austin has made a whole community of tiny homes, and it seems to be one of the easier ones to get into if you wanted to buy a land or rent. And let's see, California has been having a lot of problems, like telling people they can't live in their tiny homes and making them get out and they're homeless again. And they are making strides. 4 years ago, it was way worse. They would just tear them down or move them to another place, and they didn't have a home anymore. Because I agree, though, with the city. You can't just plop down a tiny home and be like, I'm going to live here. I get it. I do. I understand that's not the world we live in, and there are zones and codes, and I do understand. But that means that we as a community need to make sure we have, like, why is this mall here? Since, the 80s, when buying was the fun thing to do, all you do is go shopping. And these big, huge malls are empty. Let's make them into micro apartments. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? It's there.
I would like to butt in and point out that
go for it.
I understand that tiny homes is not the best solution, and I want to point that out, because it's really not. It is. If we got all of the homeless people into tiny homes, we would still have a serious problem.
Yeah.
But to everyone who points that out, I also would like to caveat that with, yes, but it's less of a problem than it is currently, right? So it is a step in the right direction, but it really does need to be pushed that this is just a fucking stepping stone.
I don't know. There's the whole communities that are retirement. Like, they're amazing. Yeah. I would totally live in them. They're just amazing. The bedroom is on the first floor. They're like 400 to 450, 500 square feet. But the way that they've put everything, it's just awesome. Like, yes, okay, you have less space, but the communities they're in, there's a separate place for your bikes. So you don't have to store that. There's there's a community workout center. So you don't need anything like that in your house. There's the pool. There's personal storage, there's the library, and everybody donate. There's just amazing things going on that are people are realizing they're in their 50s and 60s, and they're going, oh man, I'm going to retire soon. I really don't have any savings, so I need to find a way I can live debt free. And by moving into, maybe instead of your 2,200 or 7,500 square feet home, they downsize to 800 square feet or 600 square feet, with 200 of it being an outdoor porch where you have sitting. These are big, big things where you can actually do things in your retirement and enjoy life and live debt free. So I actually think that this is a solution, not those micro homes that don't have a shower. I'm not talking about those.
Right.
The bath, they have a bathroom, they have the bed, they have the kitchen, they have the fridge, they have the stovetop, they have everything they would need, plus a door that locks and air conditioning, electricity. They're hooked up. They have an address. You guys don't know how important, by reading about this, homeless people without a home can't get a job. They can't. Right, you have to have an address.
Application.
If you put them in one of these homes, and we can have, and this is what a lot of places are doing, it's not, not the retirement ones or the hipster ones.
Yeah.
These are for people that are going to they're going to move through. They're going to move on. So they're coming in because they were rough living. And now they finally can rest at night. They can get better. You know, homeless people go to the hospital 50 times sometimes within a 3-month period because it's really hard to live. I couldn't fathom it. So I can believe in this, and I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm really interested to see what the codes are here in my local area and find out more about it here. I just like you guys know I fucking hate the idea that a human being has nowhere to be, like safe, that just I'm safe here. This is my spot. Homeless is not acceptable to me. It's just not fucking acceptable. So I'm really passionate about this story. And I think that anything would be better. But if you're giving them, you know, they can prepare their own food and you're preparing them to have an address so that they can get a job. There's a lot of those places like that. They have counseling centers there on the grounds. And there's also tiny home communities for only disabled people. There's, like I said, the vets, for retired. It's just, there's so many things going on. And I didn't even know which way to go. And I thought this is a really great story because yes, I saw some that I was like, oh man, that's really, really small. But I'd rather sleep in there than on the street. So, but most of them that I saw that I was like, dang, that kitchen's nice. Like, what? This is so crazy. So I'm pretty impressed. And anything homeless is not an option. That's ridiculous. A veteran, a mom, a grandma, not acceptable. We can do so much.
And when I was saying my spiel, I was thinking what you were referring to as
the micro. Yeah, like they're under 100 square feet. They don't have a bathroom. They're generally like one of those sheds you see outside of Home Depot.
Yes.
Right. No. These have insulation and heating, and they're hooked up, and they can actually be like driven, put down, and popped up within like 3 weeks. You know, one home, 3 weeks. So that's significant.
It is. I mean, that's
I mean, to the day you're handing the keys over, 3 weeks.
That's a couple steps. In the direction.
Yes.
So
I thought that was great. I'm going to come back probably to this, I mean, it's 2021, maybe 2023. We'll come back and see how much of the ones in Austin, they're so dope. Like, oh my gosh, they're so cool. To the tiles on the outside, their bathrooms think of an airline bathroom. The sink's in the corner, so it's that weird shaped. That's their bathroom sink. Is just like everything's smaller, but they still have everything. They have the fridge, they have the stove, they have 3 burners instead of 4, so they have that little extra space to set a plate right there. Like everything's thought out, and the barn door slides so it doesn't take up space to open. That's the bathroom, and the bedroom slides behind the store. And now here's the living room and the kitchen. And it's just amazing what we can actually do if we put our gosh darn minds to it. And it's pretty creative. Every house was different in a lot of these communities. And I was just thinking how quaint and adorable, and to feel it, I can't imagine that feeling that nobody in this world cares for me. I have nowhere to stay. I can't imagine that. And so I think that it would be like such a overwhelming feeling that someone cares for you to say, well, I'm sorry, as your fellow humans, we're not going to let you sleep on the street. Here's a tiny home. We're going to do our best to keep you, at least safe, at minimum safe. I mean, come on, guys. This is basic stuff here. I just really like this story. And so, like I said, we'll come back to it. And then I'm really excited about all this reading that you've done in the last 2 weeks and all the consuming of the biblical.
Oh, we're ready to switch?
Words.
We're doing this? Yeah.
A lot of those are still, moving, and we'll come back and see their progress and see the numbers and how it's helped, and that's going to make a big difference.
Yeah.
Go to your zoning meetings. That's the biggest take probably from that whole thing I said. Go to your local zoning meetings. Just they're for the public, but that's where everything for where you live. That's everything. And introduce yourself or just listen.
That's an important note to end on. Absolutely. All right. Yeah. So I thought it would be a good idea to kind of go back to like a little bit like where we started, because we haven't had a religious topic in a while, and I want to start doing that a little more often, because it's supposed to be half of what we do.
Did you join the Satanic Temple this week?
Oh, I did not. I actually didn't even get a
Someone here did.
The link. You said come on what?
Someone here did.
Someone here did?
Yes. I had to. Have you seen what they've been doing?
I have not.
They're fighting against this. They have their satanic ritual of abortion, and it's their religious right, and you cannot take that from them. And they are fighting this. It is amazing. I will send it to you. It is so amazing. And the tenets of it, the ritual abortion is, you look yourself in the mirror, you say tenet number whatever, and then tenet number whatever, and then you take a deep breath. You realize you're yourself. You're making this decision for yourself. It's fucking beautiful. Like, I'm so impressed with the way that they have done things over the years. I said, you know what? I'm done just sitting over here being impressed. I'm a member.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Do I remember right? Are there 10 tenets?
No. Well, maybe. Just look it up real quick. That wasn't what I really like they've ordered so many thousands of the morning after pill and the abortion pill. And they're going to the Satanic Temple is offering, if you are in Texas and you need to have an abortion, you call them and they will help you out.
Huh.
They're serious about this. I am so impressed.
Yeah, they are usually very serious.
I know. So I'm like, why am I just sitting over here like being a fangirl? Like, what?
Right? There are 7.
Big point right in front of my face. Said it.
There are 7 tenets.
Yes, read them actually before you read the Bible, because you'll see a sharp contrast.
All right. One should strive to act with compassion and empathy towards all creatures in accordance with reason. 2, the struggle for justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions. A good one. 3, one's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. 4, the freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of another is to forego one's own. Right.
Trying to take abortion away from women is to forego your own. So your limp dick is God's will too.
It does fall.
More Viagra. Yes.
5, beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. One should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit one's beliefs.
I mean,
that's fair. 6.
Yeah.
People are fallible. If one makes a mistake, one should do one's best to rectify it and resolve any harm that has been caused. And 7, every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word. And those are the 7 tenets of Satanism.
Yep.
or of the Satanic Temple specifically,
Right.
because there are different sects of Satanism.
Yes, there are.
I should probably be careful what I say for, I get in trouble.
Right. No,
It's a
it's
broad stroke.
I really like that. And so if you look up, which I'll send it to you and I'll put it in our messages so it can go and put in the messages. The Satanic Temple, what they're offering, there's a phone number on there for anybody who's in Texas. You can call them and they will make sure that it happens. It is your right. That's why it was our first topic. Jeez, right back around. It's totally different than, you were reading Leviticus. Like, who does that?
I thought you were saying this is like Leviticus.
No, you actually sent me I'm listening to this right now. I'm like,
sorry, I wasn't following. I finished Leviticus today.
Yeah. I did a few years ago because I wanted to actually do it how they wanted you from beginning to end, or they wanted someone to, because that's how it was chosen. We've read all the left out ones. We've read it all now, but reading it this time it's different, right?
Yeah, it is, because I have only gone through basically the Torah when I was younger, and also only bits of the gospel, at a time. It's kind of like watching parts of Star Wars.
That's how our church did it. Yeah, the pastor would pick out which ones to go with, and so we never realized that they were all the same freaking story. It got more crazy as it went. Fan fiction, Jesus, fan fiction.
I've been through some of Isaiah and Job. But I don't think all of it, maybe Job, but I can't remember. And then Revelation I've been through a number of times, and Corinthians, and Paul. 1 and 2? Aren't there two Pauls? Is that right? No, just one.
Paul's not a book.
Paul's not a book. I'm wrong.
Yeah, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Paul didn't name him.
No.
So, but yeah, so. Yeah, I've been through a handful, but there were only a few where I went chapter by chapter, verse by verse, and those were the first ones, which are the ones that I'm going through again. And so I started just a couple weeks ago, just because I don't know, I felt like I wanted to. I do want to get through all of the books of Bible, including the ones that the Catholic had.
Yes, I love them.
Yeah,
the Gospel of Judas has to probably be one of my favorites.
Yeah, that was.
God's the bad guy.
Yeah. Well, see now, that's a.
It's just such a crazy story, and then actually out of the chronicled Bible, Revelation would have to be my favorite, just because of angels having sex with humans, making Nephilims, and just whoa, I need to take some mushrooms or something, because I feel like that's where they were when they were writing that. I'm not on their level. It's otherworldly. And I didn't like any parts of it, as far as to sit down and enjoy it when I believed, it was something that we did because it was part of our, just you did it, and there were parts that were beautiful, and there were parts that you go to over and over again because they're comforting.
Yeah.
But as far as to read it, not until I actually didn't, until I started going through it as an adult and finding that it just didn't stand up, that I want to actually read it and enjoy it for what it is. Hi, baby.
Hi, Izzy.
Hi.
This is my baby.
Did you tell them the news?
No, she's moving out on her own September 20th.
She did. I did it on my own.
What happened when you told me?
Oh my God, it was like I burst the dam. It took 0.2 seconds for the water.
I immediately started funeral sobbing. There was nothing I could do. And then I remember thinking, I have no control over my body right now. Like, I'm so emotional. I'm like, I'm so proud of you.
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't like bad. Of course, it's still heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But she's 23. She's almost done with school. And we're very proud of her. She's done really well.
Yeah.
She
It's
bought
awesome.
a new car, paid it off by herself. Her credit's really good. You know, she's a smart kid. I'm 23. She's a grown ass woman. I need to admit that to myself. But she's my baby out of the two, and she's moving out. Yeah, that is the news. I'm not gonna take it very well, I don't think, after that
You're ready
emotional.
for it. You can do it.
It just means that something's totally, one chapter is totally done and another one is just beginning. Like, this whole new journey for her is just beginning. I just want her to stay doing good so bad.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. And it's hard when you're on your own, but she's more than ready. I do know that that's how you know that you did a good job, because it's like they're so ready. But anyway, that's nothing to do with religion. She just got home and had to spill the beans. Yeah, I let Brant know that, like, on September 20th. I don't know, you might want to like send me a message or something. I mean, well, she'll be moving out for a few days, but September 20th will be the day that she starts. So
Yeah. Well, good luck to Izzy.
yes, definitely.
Congratulations.
Izzy, go Izzy.
So jumping back into this, I need to correct you. I get to correct you.
Yay!
Yeah.
Best part about being wrong is you get to get it right.
So you are right and you are wrong at the same time. You said your favorite book in the Catholic Bible is the book of Judas, but that is not.
No, I said Revelations.
Revelation.
Yeah. I said, but my favorite of the non-chronicalized is the book of Judas. It's not even in the Bible.
All right. I had brought up the Catholic Bible, so I thought that's what you meant. But yeah, there's a book of Judith in the Catholic Bible, and then the book of Wisdom, the book of Tobit, Maccabees 2, and the I can't say that again, but yeah.
Deuteronomy.
Yeah, the Deuteronomical
Dudes.
books.
Deuteronomy.
Books, which is slightly different. But yeah, so that's all in there, and I'd like to get to those, but first I want to get just through the New King James Version. And I started over at the beginning, and it's been
literally at the beginning. That's how it starts. Oh goodness, I really like the idea of buying stickers that say "Once Upon a Time" and going to every motel and opening the drawer and slapping that sticker at the beginning of the book. Every single book that I find. I just love that idea.
Once upon a time. In a galaxy far, far away?
Oh, that's too cool, though. I would keep reading.
I'd
be like, ooh.
Yeah, there's that. All right, so I don't know. I guess to actually like have a discussion on this, so my goal is to get through all of the like 66 books of the Bible by the end of the year. That way, I feel like I've done my due diligence. Like when I have conversations with people who want to talk about that kind of thing, and they want to reference the Bible, then I can really have a solid clue on what they're referencing, because I get it at least half the time, but there's a lot of stuff that I miss when you don't read the whole Bible. That's just how it is, fam. So I'm trying to fill in my gaps of knowledge, and then I want to get through the rest. Something that I've really enjoyed this past year is I went through the crash course mythology, and that was
It's so good.
Oh,
It's so good. It's so
yeah.
good. They did such a good job.
Yeah, all of the creation stories are
Beautiful.
super neat.
Yeah, I love them. I love all of them.
Yeah, my favorite religion right now is probably like Norse religion.
Yeah, but Thor is just fucking cool.
Yeah, and Loki's just
cool. Yeah. Loki's pretty cool. I mean, say he's also not. He's a maniac. Yeah, I agree.
The other one that I really want to learn more about, if I can remember real quick, I'll just look it up. Because that was a recent video by Ocean Keltoy.
Oh gosh, I just love Ocean Keltoy.
He's really good. If you guys don't follow him, you probably should follow him.
Pretty stinking.
Let me look up one of his latest.
My favorite is when he debates Christians. I don't understand how they don't hear it when they say, "Oh my God, you can't believe that," and then he's like showing them but they don't see it. I'm just like, oh God, I would be having cognitive dissonance so bad right then, and I'd be like, hold on, can we come back to this conversation? I need to go home and think, because I think I'm gonna have to change my mind.
he's really thought provoking, because he's someone who will have a conversation with just about anyone, and he'll debate atheists, he'll debate Christians, but he does it from a different point that you don't.
He does it for a reason to learn. He does it to learn. That's why it's so good, because he actually wants to get something from it. Yeah. He wants to learn something from it. And a lot of times he doesn't, but sometimes he does, and he's really good at almost pointing out, like, I really enjoy listening to his debates with all different Christians. Doesn't matter, especially Calvinists. That's Calvinists. But I can't listen to that like if I'm laying down, because I'll get too like, ah, God.
Did he debate Reform Boy?
I would have to check before I answered that.
I would imagine he would.
I don't know who that is.
Huh?
I don't know who that is.
Oh, he's one of the old crew from the before the non-sex show and everything.
Well, yeah.
But the other one that I was going to mention was Dune, that the ever young goddess of immortality. Because her story is basically like she's the one who has basically just. I hope you survive there, Christy. You're joking on me.
Coffee went down the wrong.
I see that.
That's my breather, not my drinker.
Yeah. You can't get.
How does my body not know that? It's almost about to be 45. It's supposed to run on its own. I'm not supposed to know.
Something similar. Anyways, Dune, she's really neat because she basically holds the fountain of youth for all of the gods. That's why all the gods are seemingly immortal, because they have basically access to a Dune who shares this water and everlasting life with any and all of them. And that's fantastic. That was a really cool story that I'd never heard before, and I really enjoyed that one. Other than that, I would also really like to get through the Quran, because I did that a little bit last year, and I just don't.
I remember
of me where I left.
When you sit down to read it, though, you'll go, "Oh yeah, I went over this," but you'll get more from it the second time. So just go ahead and pretend that you didn't. I promise you that's how it's worked. It just has. And the third time where I'm sitting down and I'm like, okay, I just read this and I want to read something back to Stacey. She gets home, I'm like, oh my gosh, let me show you what I read today. And I'm able to go to it, I'm able to just take in more of it. And they're very ancient stories. I think that they're very important. They shaped the way that we live today. And to not acknowledge that is very silly.
Yeah.
It is a fact. They, the Vatican used they conquered and changed the world, just like conquerors are still doing.
And
wow.
Yeah.
That explains the Roe v. Wade problem.
Maybe just a little, right?
Yep, figured it all out. We're just barbarians still.
Yeah.
Aw.
So yeah, so apart from my goals and trying to do like more research in this, and part of this is just because I find it interesting now, because in all of these stories you find parts of human history, even if they're not true.
Yes,
There's
and
stories
locations
got
that
passed down.
still exist. So
The
you
what?
can, and locations that still exist today.
Yeah, yeah,
That's familiar. You know, it's there. I do enjoy the
yeah.
stories.
Because
Well.
it really does give you insight on how people of that time and place saw the world around them and explained things, right? And that's interesting. Like, that's as much mind reading as you can do to people of long ago, and I appreciate it for that. And that said, I still think like it is totally the wrong way to go to believe in it.
Well, my
Like,
Bible's next to my Lord of the Rings. It's same shelf. Like
yeah, and
I have a book of myths, and then I have the Scandinavian gods, and I have the Swedish, and then there were German. All of these, just like here with the indigenous, had their own gods. When we came in, became America, we created our own goddess, Olympia. That's who's holding the statue. That's our goddess. That's America's. We made our own god. You know that big mural that has the one floating? She's holding like a whole bunch of line, and behind her is a railroad falling out and lamppost, and the wire that she's holding is going. So it's like modern behind her, and in front of her, she's pushing the Native Americans, the Indians out in front of her. And behind her is the modern America. That's Olympus. That's America's goddess. We created one too. So, 2000 years ago, is it going to be like a Roman story? That's very interesting to think about. And people are documenting everything now. So we'll have so much more, not we, but as humanity have so much more information. Now will be long gone.
you're gonna have to send me some info on that, because I don't see anything on it, just like Googling it. I just see like the Greek goddess. But yeah,
I will. I'll send it to you.
yeah, that would be
Write that
amazing. Yeah, so going through the Old Testament, or the Torah, if you will, the first 5 books of Moses, has been really interesting, because it really is an epic. And instead of like an epic of like Gilgamesh, it's an epic of a people, of like the Israelites. And
Right.
that's what it's all about. And throughout the story and the generations of the story, you get the persona of Yahweh, or the Lord, because in Exodus they make it very clear that his name is the Lord. It is the Lord my God. That is his name, the Lord. And I thought that was interesting, because I didn't remember them like pointing out so specifically.
What?
Just his name. And it's Genesis is just about all story. It's
Yes.
almost all story. There is some genealogy that is long-winded, but then it gets right back into story. Sometimes
The begotten, begotten, and
yeah.
Oh Lord.
every like score or so of generations, you get like a little story of like, oh, and this one started music, and this one was a hunter and was the best of all the hunters, and whatnot, and so on. I especially like the mention of other gods and the alluding to other gods, which I always like. It always kind of rung a bell when I listened to it before, but now it's much easier to pay attention to, right? Just like, what do we do about these people who are trying to build a stairway to heaven to us because they want to be like us? And they decided to strike him down because there's a they there. there's multiples. And it was like that earlier, like I think in the time of Noah as well. But yeah, so that's that, and then how jealous he gets of other gods during Exodus. But something that I wanted to point out, which I thought was interesting, again, was that there's just a lot of storytelling and God like choosing these people to be his people in Genesis. And then in Exodus, when he pulls them out of slavery from underneath the Egyptians, which everyone knows, so I don't need to go too far into that. But like the second half of Exodus, just the whole second half, I don't understand why it just didn't just start Leviticus early.
Right.
Like why didn't just didn't switch over to
there's a few of those,
because it's just not necessarily law. It's the building of the tabernacle, right? It is the preamble to Leviticus. So it's like Genesis is a thing. Exodus is the follow-up to Genesis and also the preamble to Leviticus. And I think it was interesting that when I walked away from it, like that was one of the biggest takes is like, oh, I see like the table of contents here. Like,
right.
Like I get that. And I was happy to take that away from it. And then in Leviticus, you got to see what they used the tabernacle of meeting for, and all of the blood sacrifices and all of the weaving sacrifices, which are another thing. And
Wait, the abortion's in the Leviticus, isn't it?
It is not. It's
where is it?
Numbers. It's in Numbers. I just listened
You're
to
right.
that.
You're right.
Yeah, the forced abortion. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, with the dust off the tabernacle floor and the magical spells and the poof.
Yes. Yeah, like you write the magic like spell, and then you they shake off the spell into.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Yeah. Sa. And yeah, they shake it off into the potion, and then the priest forces the woman to drink it. And if she had lied with another man, it will cause her belly to swell and her thigh to rot, and she will become barren. And it's like, oh, and if not, I guess she's fine.
Fuck you, woman.
But either way, they drag her there. They say, like, you have to say this.
Beautiful story.
You have to drink this. This is happening.
This dirt is going in your mouth.
This dirt is going in your mouth, along with these words. These words are going in.
That's in the Bible, yeah.
It got up to that. Yeah, I know this part. But yeah, it's once you get out of Leviticus, especially, so like you get out of Egypt, they build the tabernacle. In Leviticus, they give you how to use the tabernacle and why it's important, because blood sacrifices make God happy and is the only way that he'll forgive you for your sins, but you got to do it every single day. So I cannot say that there were no animals harmed in the making of this book. But then there were laws. Once he got down, you are my people. Now you got to be good enough for me. Now I'm going to tell you how to be good. Like in general, is how Leviticus basically ends. Like what you can and can't do. And then
there's a lot.
Deuteronomy, no, not Deuteronomy. Numbers, they count everyone. They have a census now, and they really censused everyone to start to build armies, like to everyone 20 and over. So then God could start giving the land to the Israelites that he had promised them, but he has to take it from natives of of the land. And like, we're not to the point of killing all the women and children yet. Or, I mean, not all of them, but
Not all.
a lot of them. And, but I am at the point where like there's been a few fights, and they take over the lands. Like they want to, they are trying to like pass through some lands, but it's also, these are the lands that were talked about of like, yeah, you're going to take these.
Found it.
The numbers?
No, our goddess with the Native Americans in front of her.
Oh, what's her
It's
name?
called Pastorazzi Manifest Destiny, 1873 poster print. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but in front of her, there are Native Americans. And see,
Yeah.
she's holding behind her is train tracks and the lights. That's our goddess, Olympus, who lived in Washington, D.C. But on our money, it still was Latin for the many there are one. We didn't have in God we trust, none of that. For the many we are one was on all of our money, and our goddess was this mythical person that we created. This, I should probably do a whole story on this. If you guys don't know, this story is so good. It really is so good. We were headed towards that idea that was written down. We were nowhere near it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, like that's absolutely in our wheelhouse. Can
Yes,
you like
good.
present that next week? Because that would be
I
awesome.
would love to. I actually wrote down Mac, like I was going to send it and then scratched it out and put do story on Olympus, U.S. goddess.
This is story on Olympus, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, yes. Yes.
The American
I'm like, so about that, because there's so much history right there. When they had to put God on everything because those dirty commies, they're godless heathens. Well, we had to put God on everything. So that whole us making our own goddess thing had to go, whoo, put the rug down. No, we can't talk about that anymore. Right. That's crazy talk. There's only Jesus and the baby Jesus and the Lord Jesus and the God Jesus. There's just one.
They pushed the Trinity really hard at that time.
Right. I know that's confusing. So, but that's all we got. And we can't, that's what it was about.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you no more. Wait for it.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just, it's a very easy thing to do, like contrarianism when it comes to religion and other peoples, nations, countries. And there's a lot of that in the Bible too. Like, speaking of like Moloch and then other strange gods, right? Like you're supposed to go in and you're supposed to like kill the people.
Yeah, there's this sea monster. There's
altars.
Crazy stuff in there.
I'm not at the sea monster. Don't tell him about the sea monster.
Okay, there's no sea monster.
He's at the end anyways.
Yeah, well.
Basically a Hydra. But yeah, so like that's been fun. It's been like, I don't know the right word. I guess fun. I like a little of it's been like,
it's different because it's not going into it thinking this is my devotion, this is what I have to do, and it's different. It's like this is a piece of art, of literature, of history, and people still believe in it today. But like all other religions that are, we set on the bookshelf, as in people used to believe this. It too will be there, just like in time with all the other ones that are now believe. It's just it is the way that it is. And all the fan fiction ones that come from it, like Mormonism and JWs and 7-Day Adventists, and the fan fiction just keeps going.
The one thing that I'm really seeing, and I haven't got to share this with anyone yet, this is really cool, is that like Yahweh started as way, like it's an air god, right? That's why he breathes the breath of life into things that
he pluribus unum.
Yeah, at the bottom.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you. E pluribus unum, for the many.
Thank you.
That was on all of our money until we put God. I think if you put God on your money, doesn't money become your God? Oh, Oh, capitalism, boom. High five myself.
Nice. Good piece together. All right.
Yeah.
So he starts as an air god, but like most gods, ancient gods, especially before we really started writing things down, were singular gods, right? We had a sun god, moon god, air god, water god, fire god, wind god, angrier wind god, right? A whole bunch of different ones. But
Good.
then when nations really started to blend together because of war and plunder and just tribes becoming bigger tribes because of conquering,
Yes.
it's super duper common for them to take pieces of the other one's religion and blend it in with theirs, because there's certain things that are like, oh no, that makes sense, but they got the characters wrong, right? That makes sense, but they got the characters wrong.
Like
That's
Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh and Noah being the same story, but two different gods from two different thousands of years apart.
Yeah, very similar.
Good stuff. I love the more I read into it. And I'm like, 2,000 years ago, they did the same story. Moses, the basket, the reeds, the water, that's Gilgamesh's story too.
Yeah.
Him and Moses are like it's just oral stories change, and there was no reading and writing.
And they build on to them. They build on.
Of
So
course.
like that's
They
why
made them their own.
There's so many points where like, well, that sounds like this story from the Bible, and this, well, yeah.
And that's different sects of religions too. You know,
together.
the dad did this one thing in this side, and the dad didn't do it on this side. It's just different religions, you know, because that's how they're oral. It's very interesting to follow it as it spread across the world too, to do that history. You can see it today. It's very interesting. It really, really is.
Yeah. One thing that I like to remind myself with is when Japan had imperial control over like China and South Korea. This is something I know because I study the martial arts.
Yes.
Is when they had control over them, they destroyed a lot of like their churches and their belief systems and their martial arts. So because Japanese arts were mightier and better than everyone else's.
Sounds like another country I know.
Yes. One example is karate. If you didn't know, karate means empty hand. Well, it didn't always mean empty hand.
You hold your hands like this?
Empty. Well, you hold your hands like without a weapon. It's empty.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of like poetry.
Yeah.
Fancy.
So karate do is the way of the empty hand.
See, that's just so fancy. We say fighting.
But when it was brought from Okinawa to Japan, karate was, it was called karate, and it meant Chinese hand.
Oh.
So some time went on, and the Japanese were like, "Oh, we don't like this." I'm like, they liked what it did. They liked karate. Karate is a Japanese word. So they changed it to karate, which sounds exactly the same, but the kanji changed. So instead of meaning Chinese hand, it means empty hand. So they reiterated things to make it more Japanesey.
I got it.
They didn't only do that with karate. They did that with many of the arts. So it's really hard to tell what is actually a South Korean art because there's so much Japanese influence. Whether it's like someone like a Choi Young-sul who started Hapkido. He learned something else in Japan, came home after 30 years, and started his own martial art with a lot of different blended styles and stuff. But martial arts that had stayed there also got influenced by Japanese arts because they had to. They absolutely had to. And there's some Japanese arts that were influenced from other parts of the world, but they just say it it was just Japanese.
Yeah, it's just evolution.
And it's
Belief.
it's the evolution of ideas and the meshing of ideas, and then whoever wins wars writes history.
Of course.
I think it's very, very similar to say that's where we get a lot of our religion, because none of them are just fucking pure.
Right.
No,
that's a lot of changes happen whenever new conquerors take over an area. To religions, to languages, to beliefs, to ideas, to foods, to the way you eat, to the way you dress. Like, big, huge changes when you get conquered by different. And that's happened throughout history. You know, we're occupying how many countries right now? That influence, the music influence alone, the flavors, bringing foods over to the areas where our bases are, businesses where our bases, and the families that live there, so they have these businesses and they feel comfortable. That meshes with the community. It's still happening today. It's the exact same thing is happening today, and we'll be able to, as a humanity, like I said, we'll be long gone 2,000 years from now if humans survive the warming of the globe, which I'm sure there will. We're
at least
a few will. I'm for sure there. Well, you can't get rid of us that easy. We're like ticks on the earth,
right?
So and then you
cut out all the cancer.
Learning about this time in history where America changed all these ideas, and they changed Americans' individual ideas that meshed with them, and they brought that back to the States, and sometimes wives and husbands and family members from different, and that just meshes and we get something new. And I think that is what we get when we read the Bible. We see ourselves, but before, and then, so lots of crazy stuff too, and whatever back then, if you stole something, they chopped your hand off. So, we've come a long ways, but we still have a very, very, very long ways to go.
I wanted to elaborate a little further because Jen said something really awesome down in the chat. Easier to absorb the people if you absorb their gods.
Absolutely.
And that is
just like in Cuba.
Oh, go
when
ahead.
They brought the Africans over, they had to secretly practice theirs. So they mixed theirs in with the Catholic. You got Santa Maria. And they would go out at night and do it quietly. And it's so, they're, shaking the leaves at you and spitting the rum at you. And all this comes from their spirituality when they were in Africa, on the continent of Africa, before they came here. And the dancing and the drums and it's mixed, and it's its own thing. That is not in Africa. It's its own thing. And we've seen this everywhere. So if we have all this today, modern, smacking you in the face evidence, it's very easy when I take in information from the Quran, from the Torah, from the Bible, to put it in that perspective.
Yeah, put it in the context. And something else with the Catholic Church is something that my family really hated about the Catholic Church is Easter. We wouldn't celebrate Easter because Easter is named after the goddess Ishtar. Yeah, and she's the goddess of fertility.
She sure is.
That they would focus on is just like that's sex. That's why there's bunnies, because they reproduce so fast, and the eggs is for yes.
No, I know the story.
I'm not saying you. I'm like saying
fantastic to untie that knot if you go and do it by yourself. It is a fantastic story.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. Like I really grew up kind of hating Ishtar, and when I looked into paganism, this one's actually kind of cool. Yeah. This one's in my top 5 now. I hated it so long, but yeah, we were told that people would just defile themselves and just fuck all over the place and rape women and all this stuff. It was just dirty.
Oh, we were mammals. Because we have geese outside, and there will be 2 males and 1 girl, and it's not a pretty sight.
Right?
two guys are fighting all day over, and they're like violent. And then the guy gets on the girl and holds her down. They have the corkscrew penises. Stacey about fell over when she saw one for the first time in real life, about 5 feet away. So what the fuck?
That's already too close. I think springs
everywhere. They walk right across the sidewalk while you're walking down the sidewalk. They don't care. They're everywhere. Yeah. There's so much nuance. Yes, Sergio. Yes.
We can wrap up here in a few. So when the Catholics really pushed Easter and the spring equinox, it's because people of
we're celebrating it already, right?
Yeah.
They got mad because people were gonna still celebrate it, so they were like, "We'll just change ours to that."
Yeah, and they wanted to adopt the
diplomacy.
Yeah, they wanted to adopt Christianity. I think it was Constantine.
Yeah. Well.
So they said, look, basically Passover became Easter, and that's why my family hated it, because they were like, no Passover. And yeah, so like this when I learned that, because that's something I wasn't told when I was younger, is that the Catholic Church decided to incorporate this other people, these people, to convert them to Christianity because Easter's okay.
Easter was very different for me as a kid.
You have to bring those people in. It's easier to absorb the people if you absorb their gods too, or their traditions.
Well, see, we celebrated Easter. So when I grew up and read these stories, I'm like, oh my gosh, every Easter we'd wake up excited and run out to find our basket. Our basket would have our name on it, be full of toys and candy and a big chocolate bunny. We'd fly kites after church. Like, it was just a thing that was Easter. It was a big thing. And then Easter dinner was at my grandma's. It was a big deal. So then growing up and seeing like all the things that we would be eating were things that were passed down from like so many years ago, people that my current generation of great grandmothers, mothers have no idea about, but is written actually in these old texts of religion. And it's very interesting. Eggs were a big part. They were like three different dishes were eggs on Easter. Everybody's houses smelled really bad for a day or two. A big, huge ham. Yeah, it was a big deal. And you go back and they'd slaughter a ram or mostly a ram or a sheep. And that's why we'd eat the big leg thigh thing that's why. It's just, it's very interesting. I like that you're reading again. It's going to be a while before you get to Revelation, but when you do, let me know, because that's the one that it's just stuck with me the most. So
that was my favorite book.
I'm like, if you're going to end with something, that's the best way to go out. Yeah. That's what the fuck did I just read? What's that have to do with anything else?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's written by Paul, right?
I don't know if Paul existed. I don't think Paul was a name in the Middle East. Mark, either Luke or John. So I'm just going to put that out there. Those were not names in that area.
Yeah.
So I'll just put that there.
Yeah. And you know what? And I'll end it with this. This has been really cool. I've been it's hard to listen to the Bible and not talk about it. Right?
Yeah, I bet.
Because you need to release a little bit. And if you believe in it, then you need to release a little bit. It's just all like it's a very intense story, no matter where you are in the Bible. And I've been talking to people like around me about like going through it, and then people share what they think about it.
That's awesome.
And I love that. Some people are sharing things like, whether they're religious or not, they'll share something like, well, when I was younger and grew up, I was taught this, and it was, it's built to be. I'm like, like a power structure that's like suppressive? And like, yes, like,
You think?
like, yeah, it is abusive. I agree. And we get into these really good conversations, and I really, really appreciate them. They're really fantastic. So if for nothing else, if you enjoy good conversation, just read the Bible so you can talk to people about it. It's
Right. Have you heard about the good word yet? I'm an atheist and I would like to talk about the Bible with you.
hi, would you like to talk about blood sacrifices? Excuse me, I just want to talk about the Bible. I want to talk about the Bible.
People will really freak out, and I'm like, what do you think you're doing when you're drinking the wine and eating the bread?
Yeah,
The blood in his body, you cannibal.
Just don't believe in transwhateverxiation. I can't say it. Trans. God, I can hear it in my head, but I can't say it.
I can't say it if I look at it because
Transiation. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I'll say it like a 5-year-old. Transiation?
The Jersey accent. Jersey accent just comes out of nowhere. Goodness.
All right. So I think that's a great place to end.
Yeah.
But thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I really, really, really appreciate it. If you liked this video, please go down there and smash that like button. If you super duper liked it, why don't you share it out? Invite some people to join us here in the next fortnight, in the next 2 weeks. We'll be here again. And if you have any questions for Christy or I or Natcha, you can add us on Twitter at Atheism for Humans. No, at Atheism Humanism. We couldn't fit the 4. Yeah, at Atheism Humanism, or you can send us an email at atheismforhumanism@gmail.com. We love you guys. Thank you so much. Christy, you have any last words?
I do. So stay humanist, for God's sake.